Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Oh, man. So I try to limit the times that I talk about the New York Times because they're not worth mentioning, except when you can mock them and belittle them. And that's what we plan to do here today because I don't know, well, you don't know this until I tell you. They actually have a podcast called The Opinions. Had you ever heard of it? Yeah, I know. I hadn't either. Their opinion editor, Meher Ahmad, interviews different columnists, and they put it all together in a podcast called The Opinions. And in their latest episode, well, first of all, it's called Why the Right is Obsessed with Thinness When Diet Culture Meets Conservative Morality. And I just have to say, I mean, I could try to explain it to you, but it's honestly so retarded. I need for her to explain and kind of encapsulate what the left-wing point actually is. Listen.
There's been a resurgence in explicit be thin messaging in culture. With the Ozempic boom, we see the body shaming of actresses like Sydney Sweeney, and red carpets that were already filled with thin actresses becoming even thinner. On the right, there's been a focus on body size that's sort of been bundled up not just with health and wellness, but with religion, morals, and politics. And so when everything is political and we're more divided than ever, should the size and shape of our bodies be any different? I'm here today with opinion writer Jessica Grose to understand why the right is obsessed with thinness and why that message is winning over women.
What? Stephen, what did I just... I don't understand any of that. Stephen, do you understand what you just heard?
No, I do not. But it's the New York Times, so I was not anticipating it making sense.
Something about has to do with religion? No. Up until 5 minutes ago, we all agreed that we should all be healthy because that's a good thing. And now apparently, being skinny is related to Christianity, I guess. And so, she's interviewing Jessica Grose, and she's asking Jessica Grose, what's the messaging on diet and thinness coming from Christian influencer spaces? What is that? Because we need to tie skinniness to Christianity. I mean, by the way, first of all, I'll wear that like a badge of honor, I guess. I don't know that that's entirely accurate, but that's fine. I'll take it. And when this woman, columnist, Jessica Grose, responded, she said, well, it's really just encapsulated by what Turning Point's Alex Clark said at the 2025 Young Women's Leadership Summit. Listen.
And look around this room, let's just be honest, it's never been hotter to be a conservative. We've got the girls who lift weights, eat clean, have their hormones balanced, have their lives together. Those women are conservative. The left, well, they've got these TikTok activists with 5 shades of autism, panic attacks, and a ring light. We've got girls who look like they just walked off the cover of Vogue and can still deadlift more than Harry Sisson.
Show me the lie. By the way, you'll notice we do have video of Alex Clark looking beautiful, by the way. The New York Times clips that we have are audio only. They only put out audio, maybe because they look like this. I don't know. Does her face really, it looks like she looked a certain way and then it got stuck like that. Like your mom always says, don't look like that for too long or it's going to get stuck. Jessica, it got stuck. No wonder you're jealous of conservative women who are hot. And so these women, can I call them women? I don't know. I'm not supposed to gender people, I guess, these days. I don't even know I know what a woman is. They don't know what a woman is these days. And so you have these New York Times ladies trying to argue that the right is responding to the body positivity movement. That's really what this is. It's just a response to the body positivity movement. But they just completely get it absolutely abysmally wrong.
How much of this is a reaction to a left version of a body type? And what even is that?
So I think it's a reaction to the body positivity movement, which I would say peaked about 10 years ago. And it was the idea that weight is not tied directly to health, and that you can be healthy and not real thin. It was never predominant. There was like one, and brands were more kind of bullied into making more size inclusive lines. So I don't ever think that it was dominant, and it wasn't just liberals, but I think it was liberal coded.
Oh, okay. Well, fact check number 1 here, ma'am. It was never like, you can be healthy and not real thin. That's not what the body positivity movement has ever been. They have never uttered, you can be healthy and just not real thin. Thin, but not real thin. Skinny, but not real skinny. That's never been what they've said. Okay, the leaders of the body positivity movement said things like, fat is fit. BMI is not a measure of wellness. Healthy at every size, body size, does not indicate health. Now, I will say that one of those, the BMI is not a measure of wellness, is Lindo Bacon. It used to be Linda Bacon and now identifies as a man. And instead of picking a different name, they were like, I know, instead of Linda, I'll just go by Lindo. But the bacon part, she got right. Just saying. And so you have this, that is what they called healthy. BMI is not a measure of wellness. What is? Fat is fit? No, it's not. It's quite literally the opposite. So we can have a debate on what people deem beautiful. We can have that debate because I understand that beauty is subjective. Now, there are, of course, objective standards of beauty that exist. We can have that debate, but you can't tell me that being morbidly obese is actually healthy. And yet that is the lie that they tried to put on young women. Now they want to claim, oh, well, we just said that, you can be healthy and not real thin. No. You put up a bunch of pictures of morbidly obese people and said, don't worry, this is actually healthy. Okay. Fact check number 2, being healthy does actually mean being thin. Let's be clear here. Per the CDC, remember, you guys say trust the CDC, trust the government experts. They actually do have this part right. Anyway, obesity increases the risk of 3 of the top causes of mortality, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and certain cancers, including breast cancer, colorectal cancer, endometrial cancer, and it contributes to about 300,000 deaths per year. Obesity is very, very much not healthy. Okay, so when you have more lean mass, which does in fact mean thin, you lower your mortality risk and you have better insulin sensitivity. And if you have more visceral fat, that causes more inflammation in your body, which causes more health problems, more insulin resistance, which causes more health problems, and metabolic dysfunction, which, you guessed it, if you have a brain, causes more health problems. So, it's just, I understand that these women are really, really stupid. And maybe I just should save my breath trying to explain this to them. But it's just really interesting listening to them try to answer why are conservative women so interested in being healthy and fit? Like, why do conservative women not want to be fat slobs? Why do they want to do that? Listen.
I mean, that's one thing I'm interested in with these particular influencers is like the desire for, the way that they look or how they like behave should be in line with certain values that are politically aligned with the conservative movement. How do you see the political aspect of it pairing with the way that these women are presenting themselves physically online and in the world?
I mean, it's all traditional gender roles, right? I mean, that litany of things that Alex Clark listed.
Not that.
It's like marriage, babies, fitness, protein. It's all one very narrow image. And anyone who is not conforming to that image is sort of outside the circle. And it's also in a moment where we do see fewer female leaders across the board, I would say Democrats and Republicans. And so the idea that women should be physically smaller goes along with the idea that they're not going to be the ones out front taking up space.
That's it. Just you know, women are just obsessed with like conservative women are just obsessed with like protein and like meeting men who can become their husbands and like having babies and then staying fit. Yeah, that's kind of the point of all of this, I would say. That's they try to fit into this narrow gender role. Like it's really not narrow. I wouldn't call it narrow at all. God designed us to find a male partner, get married, and procreate. And I don't know. I just feel like if I want my husband to procreate with me, I shouldn't be a fat whale. Maybe I should let him speak for himself. I don't know. Stephen?
I would agree with that statement.
I mean, listen, Stephen and I are very real with each other. Stephen, would you be attracted to me if I was 300 pounds?
No.
See? I wouldn't be attracted to you if you were 300 pounds. I'd still love you. She wouldn't be attracted to you. You guys, let me know in the comments. Is that rude? We're very, very, guess what? We're telling the truth. If your husband tells you, I'd still be physically attracted to you if you were morbidly obese, he's lying to you. He may still love you, but he's lying to you. And it's not a bad thing for conservative women to want their husbands to be attracted to them. Sorry, we're not, feminists who have blue hair and weigh 500 pounds and boss their husbands around. So, it's just so funny listening to them talk about, conservative women, they just want to be physically smaller so they can take a backseat to all the powerful men. Okay, well, I don't know. I think that we're doing okay as a whole here. I think that we're doing all right. I've got, let's see, Alex Clark, who you already saw, Laura Trump. You've got Riley Gaines. I'm pretty sure she's way stronger than Eric Swalwell, who just tried to show us how strong he was online. If you guys saw that, Jillian Michaels, Candace Owens, Brittany Aldean, Lauren Boebert. My producers are so nice. They included me on there as well. And I believe that that's the New York Times that I'm lighting on fire in that picture. So it's just absolutely picture perfect. They were upset about that as well. And we've got so many others who have millions of followers and are very loud about the issues that matter to us, to our families, to our country. I mean, you go back to that picture, Stephen. How many of the people, how many of the women on this picture actually contribute to changing the country? I don't mean to brag, but I'd say all of us have contributed to some sort of change, to laws being changed, to culture being changed, for the entire country to become more conservative and more family oriented. We've all contributed to that. We don't need to be physically smaller so we can take a back seat to the men. Okay? I don't know, call me crazy. I just want to look nice and live a long life with my family. Now, I will just say this in closing, to the writer or the podcaster's credit, she did kind of seem to struggle like the entire interview with why being healthy and fit is in fact just right wing. Like you can kind of hear the wheels turning as she's talking in this. And so I do think she's struggling a little bit. You guys let me know what you think.
I mean, you touched on this, but like in a lot of ways, the desire to be thin is just so ubiquitous in time and millennia, but also on all sides of the political spectrum. I'm curious about how you see the left version of like aspiring to thinness, especially in this current moment, and how that compares to this more conservative value system. Like, are they unique in promoting thinness, these conservative influencers, or are they just part of the general environment right now, which is kind of like okay with being unabashedly pro skinny?
Yeah, I mean, they're just co-opting what's already in the water. And I think what happened with the body positivity movement is it got co-opted by the wellness movement. And so people stopped using language like, oh, I'm doing this to be thin. I'm doing this to be healthy.
It's all just so retarded. This is what they just don't understand. Okay. Conservatives are not co-opting what's already in the water or co-opting the body positivity movement. She's actually correct, the podcaster, about at least one thing in her entire life. Being thin and healthy has always been ubiquitous across time, across millennia, that's always been the thing that everyone has understood we should do. The left is what has changed. They're the ones who changed the goalposts. They're the ones who have become so deranged and so full of hate for everything that conservatives stand for everything they deem to be right wing, for everything that President Trump stands for everything MAGA, the America First agenda. They just hate everything connected to any of those pieces, that they just embrace subverting tradition. And subverting tradition is making these ugly inversions of what is true and beautiful. They just make that their entire personality, their entire identity. Just to name a few examples of that, Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn. These guys are not conservatives. I like them. I think that they were very instrumental in this last election. That doesn't mean that they're conservative. It doesn't mean that they're right wing. It doesn't even mean that they're Republicans. They are classical liberals, but they identify with a right wing audience because they aren't woke, deranged losers. Who did that? Who did that? The right or the left? It was the left. Ding, ding, ding. They got so crazy and so far off the reservation and so oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? Oh, you want America first? Oh, fine. I'm going to go sit in the corner and weigh 500 pounds and dye my hair blue. Take that, Trump. They're just crazy. And these classical liberals said, I don't want to be associated with that anymore. But I like health. I like health. Oh, you must be MAGA. Stephen, do you like my MAGA body?
I very much do.
I just like to throw Stephen, just put you on the spot there sometimes. Those of you who don't know, he is not an extrovert. It took a lot for him to even get on the screen. So, sometimes I just like to just make him blush a little bit.
Thank you for that.
All right. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Going to bring in our panel. It's hot in here. Is it just me? It's warm in here. Maybe it's because I was talking about all those hot conservative women. I don't know. But I want to thank our sponsor, Birch Gold. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Woo! We need the AC, everyone. All right. Thank you, Birch Gold. Birch Gold, if you guys are, maybe you have a 401k or an IRA laying around collecting dust, let me tell you about Birch Gold. They can actually help you diversify into an IRA or 401k in gold and silver, and it's not going to cost you a penny out of pocket. The thing with gold and silver is that it's one of the best ways to look after your savings. Diversify into that because, I don't know, in the past 12 months, the value of gold has increased by 40%. And central banks are still, they're continuing to bolster demand for gold by buying in record quantities. And gold and silver historically have been the best hedge you could think of against inflation, against any instability, anything like that. Gold and silver are your best bet. Birch Gold makes it very, very easy to convert these IRAs or 401ks. So here's what you need to do. Text my name, Sara, S-A-R-A, to the number 989898. What they're going to do is they're going to send you a free information kit on gold. There's no obligation. You're not signing up for anything except useful information. I'm not a financial expert. They are. So let them explain to you how to do it. They've got an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. They've got tens of thousands of happy customers. I am one of them. My family has done business with them. They made it very easy. I highly recommend them. Text the word Sara to 989898. All right, welcome to the show. Now that I'm done fat shaming, I'd like to welcome Steve Baker, Blaze Media's investigative journalist, along with Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, who, it's been too long, of course, Dallas County GOP chairman.
Glad to be with you.
Man of many talents and trades. And he said that he would forgive me for wearing my
The other
Longhorn.
orange.
It's a nice orange. You disagree?
It's like cow patty brown.
It's just that it's the real UT,
Okay, we've had this discussion before. There is no Texas without Tennessee volunteers.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's.
I was just trying to trigger you a little bit before we got into it. I just want to get your blood pumping a little bit, Colonel.
I'm always calm.
I know.
Trigger.
I know. Okay, well, maybe this might do it. We have new documents released by the DOJ that further incriminate. You know, we've been talking about this Trump-Russia collusion and how deep the rot gets and how high the lie went. We've got these documents now that further incriminate Hillary Clinton, and also, you're going to be shocked to hear George Soros was involved. What? Oh my gosh, where are my pearls? I never would have guessed that. So you have Chuck Grassley, who released a previously sealed section of the Durham probe today. And the probe, when they released it in 2023, did not contain this classified 29-page appendix. And now we have it. So the appendix claimed that Russian hackers obtained emails from Leonard Bernardo, who was regional director for Eurasia at the Open Society Foundation, which was, of course, founded by the one and only George Soros. And later, a Clinton campaign advisor, Julianne Smith, was linked to this Russia collusion hoax in an email from Bernardo. It was sent on July 25th, 2023. The media analysis on the DNC hacking appears solid. Julie, this is the Clinton campaign advisor, says it will be a long-term affair to demonize Putin and Trump. Now it is good for a post-convention bounce. Later, the FBI will put more oil into the fire. And then the appendix went on to explain what the FBI actually did. During the first stage of the campaign, due to lack of direct evidence, it was decided to disseminate the necessary information through the FBI-affiliated technical structures, in particular the CrowdStrike and ThreatConnect companies, from where the information would then be disseminated through leading U.S. publications. And then we also have this gem from Hillary Clinton's people herself. I don't know why you put this in writing. HRC, Hillary Rodham Clinton, approved Julie's idea about Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections. This should distract people from her own missing email, especially if the affair goes to the Olympic level. I'll go on to this email here, but I just love that, like, why are you using initials at that point? Like, we don't know. Who is it? Gosh, let me scratch my head. I don't know who HRC could possibly be. Thank you for putting in writing that HRC approves of the idea. Thank you very much. They said, the point is making the Russian play a U.S. domestic issue. Say something like a critical infrastructure threat for the election to feel manic, since both POTUS and VPOTUS have acknowledged the fact that the intelligence community would speed up searching for evidence that is regrettably still unavailable. And then, of course, you have a couple days later, Crossfire Hurricane that was created on July 31st, 2016. So it just, the rot goes so deep. And I find myself more and more enraged. It's like, you know that these people are up to no good, and you know that these people are behind it. But when you actually get it on paper, you have what seems to be, to me, like the smoking guns. And it's like, okay, what are we doing? Where are we going? Who's getting arrested and when?
Well, that's the whole point. I mean, I think now is the time when everyone should come out and use that famous line that Democrats always use: no one is above the law. And make them eat that crow, 24/7, 365. We don't need congressional hearings. We don't need more talk or blather or things of that nature. We need to see indictments. We need to see people being held accountable. And you're right. This goes Brennan, Comey, Peter Strzok, McCabe, all of these individuals. What's the other guy? Clapper, all the way down to Hillary Clinton. And you're right. The famous billionaire that it seems that the left loves when they talk about getting rid of every other billionaire, but George Soros is their billionaire. This guy is working to undermine our constitutional republic, and they are as well. And so, again, when are we going to hold them accountable and responsible? So by the end of the year, we should have indictments on all of these people.
And if we don't get that, that's when I don't like characterizing this as our team and their team and this. Look, we feel like right now that these intelligence community leaders are working for the American people. It's what it feels like. I mean, normally their activities are so siloed between each other. There's no cooperation whatsoever with Tulsi Gabbard's new mandate and the directive from the president for this new directors initiatives group that she has. She seems to be making progress, and we were, very happy to see Ratcliffe join the club in the release of this, and maybe things are happening. Maybe things are starting to come around. We're very close, and on quite a few things of getting the final missing pieces of the puzzle of what we've been missing on so many topics. We're talking about the assassination attempts. Obviously, this situation. I was made aware a week ago today of how close Hillary was to the CrowdStrike, and basically that was her authorization. It flat out came from her, and so I did not even expect to see that this quickly, this soon come out, and so very happy about it.
Yeah.
Now,
But-
this whole ball has to be
So
handed.
what?
Right.
The baton has to now be handed off to the DOJ, and they have to do their job.
But that's led by Pam Bondi.
It is.
And I'm just saying, I haven't seen much from her so far, and kind of a disappointment. Was she there when you were in Florida?
Yes, we won't talk about that.
Oh,
We'll move on.
oh,
This is a public program.
oh. Well, I can't wait to go to break and ask all the questions. But okay, then I will. You won't say it. I will say.
Well, look, I'll say it. You know, everyone knows about the voter fraud that happened in my reelection race. She was the Attorney General at the time, and Rick Scott was the governor. Nothing was done. I mean, you can't have 112% voter turnout in precincts in St. Lucie County. You can't have a supervisor of election that is on tape going into the warehouse that stores the ballots in the middle of the night, and you provide all of this evidence, and nothing gets done. So, I said my piece.
Wow.
Only 112%?
Only 112%. I was really upset. I was shooting for 120%.
That would have been record.
Now, I did go to Tennessee, but I do understand math.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so then let me ask this. Did she or the governor at the time, were they connected at all, friendly with anyone who was your opposition?
Just remember that it was Republicans that redistricted me out in 2012. So, there was a whole cabal that was there in Florida that I really don't think very highly of. I'll just leave it at that.
And that's what, I mean, I think that's what the most frustrating thing for me is because I love that President Trump values loyalty. I do think that it is smart, especially considering his last administration. There was a leak every single day. There were anonymous op-eds being written in the New York Times about how we needed to remove him because he wasn't fit for the presidency. And I mean, it's like I understand you get to the point where you're like, I need loyal people. But sometimes I feel like it's to a fault in that someone's your friend, and you're just like, oh, yes, you as AG. And it's like, God, I just feel like we could have done so much better there.
Yeah, well, and that's it. Look, we keep being asked to be patient.
Right.
The biggest offender of the patient's tweets, of course, has been Dan Bongino.
Yeah.
And he's done it several times.
Who also is being like a little bit conflicting on that, because then he'll I mean, what did he say over the weekend? He was like, what I saw shocked me to my core.
Right.
That's sensationalism.
Yeah, I'm like, care to share with the class, Dan? I'd love to hear more about it. You can't just say that and then not tell us.
And then there's a behind the scenes campaign coming from FBI in particular to demand patience of journalists. And I was one of those that was contacted. We know that others were contacted. Then I start getting major media journalists calling me to go, is this true? We're hearing it from other sources. Did you get contacted as well? Yes, I did. How did you handle it? I told them to take a flying leap off the 7th floor of the Hoover building. I didn't out the person that did it, but I've talked about it openly that at 1:30 in the morning, I get contacted by somebody on the 7th floor telling me to back off, and then also telling me to be patient. It's coming. Okay, I understand that. And I get it, because I know, working with the different groups that I am working with closely, how long and how much of a struggle it has taken, not just to get it through an operational look. They're fighting their own team half the time. To get this new J6 committee formed, they're fighting their own team. It wasn't the Democrats holding it up. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have a lot to reconcile with, I guess, in the midterms, because, I mean, you're saying it wasn't the Democrats who held it up. I mean, it's not the Democrats who are going to hold any of this up. There's so much of the America First agenda that has not been codified. And who do we have to blame for that? It's Republicans. There's a lot that they're holding up.
Well, and I think that leads to, I can see your frustration, and definitely, Steve, your frustration is, and on a battlefield, you have to have a killer instinct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we are on a battlefield. It's an ideological battlefield, but it's just as dangerous as a shooting battlefield. And, we have handed this over to Republicans. They have the House, they have the Senate, they have the White House, they have the levers. And all of these things are being uncovered. And we know now truly why they did not want Donald Trump back in office, because of all these things being uncovered. But we've got to take them to the mat. And I just have always believed that for whatever reason, there was a reticence on our side. I hate to use that, the Republican side, because they want to have these Marquis Quisenberry rules. This is a blood sport.
But you have been on the battle. You've not only been on the real battlefield, you've been on the congressional battlefield as well. So you've actually seen how the sausage is made.
Yeah, it's ugly.
And nobody wants to see how the sausage is made. And that's the problem. And when we're being held up by our own side from getting the president's agenda done, it's all the more frustrating. Now, when we're talking about the intelligence community and the release of these things that Tulsi is finally making happen and working with the other agencies to make happen, the battle there is still from the other side. I mean, I have been told flat out to my face by the highest levels of the IC, the intelligence community, that 80% of CIA, for instance, is actively working against the Trump agenda. 80%.
I mean, and that's it's shocking, but it's not. It doesn't shock me that the CIA would have a bunch of deep staters in it, but it's okay, so how long are we going to let that go on? Why can't we clean house?
Yeah, because that's what the other side does.
Right.
I mean, Bill Clinton comes in office, he cleans house. Barack Obama comes in office, he cleans house. And again, it comes back to that recalcitrance that we have to go and say, you got to go. Career bureaucrat, and we know what you have been doing, and you're not on the team, which is Team America. We're not talking about Republican and Democrat, but we want to make sure that you're on America's team. And I think that it comes to a time that they have to, without a doubt. Elon Musk went through with all this Doge stuff. Start getting rid of these people.
Yeah.
Government is not meant to be a jobs program.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, and despite all of these judges trying to block President Trump from doing that, I believe the latest, I can't keep up with all of these cases. I think the latest was that they said that, as it turns out, he can, as the highest executive in the country, decide to fire people. That is
the chief executive. It's the executive branch.
Duh. He's the CEO of the country, and you guys are telling me he can't.
Also, when you read Article 3 of the Constitution, all of these lower courts were established by who? The legislature.
Right.
They can get rid of it. Yeah.
Yep. They can get rid of it at any time if they want to, and they won't. I think it was my Congressman Brandon Gill who tried to put forth a resolution or legislation that would get them to eliminate all of these DC judges, and another thing that Republicans haven't done. So it's guys, it's just so frustrating. Who needs enemies with friends like these?
Well, you can't be concerned about what the Washington Post is going to say, the New York Times, Dallas Morning News. You just got to go in there and do what you know is right, and what is right by the Constitution, what is right by the American people. And don't worry about what they write about you.
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that, but kind of conversely, I saw John Cornyn had tweeted out a Dallas Morning News article that was talking crap about Ken Paxton, and how, you know, John Cornyn needed to win. And I'm just like, it's the Dallas Morning News. Can you lack any more self-awareness? Of course they want you to win, John. You're a rhino. So that just made me think of that. It was pretty funny. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Well, an update on what happened over the weekend at the Cincinnati Music Festival. Thanks to Ohio Senator Bernie Moreno, we now have some updated photos of the woman who we initially saw here knocked unconscious in Cincinnati over the weekend. He posted on X this morning, Cincinnati is an amazing and spectacular city. It deserves political leadership that matches the greatness of its citizens. And then he said that the one of the city officials issues a late and weak statement. Police chief blames social media. Remember, we played that clip. She's like, listen, you guys are missing the context when you posted these two white people getting the crap beat out of them. Not the lack of almost 200 officers, Moreno said. And he said that they let off lowlifes with $400 in bail. Representative Greg Landsman, silent and posting about Ukraine, and city council member blames the victim. Then he shows Holly. This is Holly. She wanted to have a nice evening out with friends. Instead, she got this. Holly gave me permission to release the photos so that others will never suffer what she did. We need and deserve change. And the photos, of course, were like, hard to look at. This is Holly, the woman who got the crap beat out of her in Cincinnati, in the streets of Cincinnati. Wow. How many people stood around and hooted and hollered instead of that? You know, the police chief said, I don't agree with a lot of what the police chief said, but if the police chief is accurate, the police chief said one person called 911. Everyone else filming on their phones or just participating in the beating of two defenseless people. One person actually called 911. And so you'd heard the senator mention a city council member. This was Victoria Parks, who said in response to the attack that we played earlier in the week, they begged for that beatdown. I am grateful for the whole story. I said this at the beginning of the week. I'm going to go ahead and re-up this. There is nothing that I can think of that someone could verbally say to you that would warrant this type of behavior. I mean, there's just nothing. I would think now what I'm thinking is, you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like they are trying to make you think, oh, well, they said the N-word, or they said some sort of racially charged statement or something to make you think like, oh, well, then I can understand them beating them, you know, half to death because they said a mean word. But nobody has actually, to my knowledge, come out and said, what is it? What is the context that we're missing? What is it that led to this? The police chief keeps saying, you guys aren't showing the whole story. What is the whole story, ma'am? Nobody seems to want to tell us. All we're told is, yeah, but you guys are missing context. So what? There is a reason that these people were beaten half to death that makes sense? That's just? I can't possibly believe that. And I think the longer that they go in silence, not giving the full story that they claim that we're not sharing, the longer it is that I'm like, you just don't have a good reason for this. It's really, really frustrating to see play out.
It's horrific. And I can guarantee you that that crowd of thugs, they use the N-word back and forth with each other.
Kidding.
So I'm not buying to that, oh, we were triggered because someone with a different skin pigmentation may have said that.
Right.
No, there's no cause for that. This is attempted murder. I mean, when you saw the blunt force trauma that woman suffered, this guy should be behind bars for a very long time. And I'd like to know, have they apprehended these individuals?
Yeah, I think they did. They have at least two.
I'd heard
I think
4.
they had was it 4 now?
4.
Okay, yeah. So they have apprehended some of them. There were more than 4 that I saw participating in that.
Yeah, because they should use some of that Face ID technology they did on January 6th that enabled them to be able to go and find people 6, 7 a year later.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, yeah. Isn't it interesting how they never seem to use it for things like this?
Yeah.
But parading That's useful technology for parading. Right. You wouldn't know anything about that though, Steve, would you?
No. But no, seriously, I can tell you what, one circumstance in which you would approve of that behavior, and that is if they were caught in the act of sexually assaulting a child or something like that.
Yes, that's not verbal.
Right. But I'm saying
beat
the hell out of them.
Yes, but what I'm saying is the police chief said there was a verbal confrontation, right. But what you don't know is that there was a verbal confrontation beforehand, and I'm like, and?
See, for somebody like that, Chief, it could have been silence was violence. And you never know coming from somebody with that mindset, particularly watching her in the press conference, avoid the questions, sidestep the questions, divert away from the questions, because the only message she wanted to say is you don't have the context, as you were sharing. But that's not going to fly with the rest of us because, as you said, if it was just words, I don't care how bad the words were.
Right.
No justification for what we saw.
Right. I just feel like maybe we should just rethink having female police chiefs. You guys are not allowed to say that.
I'll say it.
Will you?
Yeah, I will tell you that. See, on the George Floyd riots, okay, that very weekend when it all busted loose, and of course it spread throughout the country immediately. Well, on Saturday in my town of Raleigh, North Carolina, where I've lived for over 30 years, I was living downtown at the time, sitting on my front porch as the helicopters were filming the violence downtown and the destruction of our downtown in Raleigh. And I had my laptop. I'm watching all the news feeds from those choppers, and I'm got my rifle right here, and I'm just waiting in case it moves my way. But what I watched the next day was what was horrifying. At 1:30 p.m., there was a big press conference. It's very famous video. Everyone should look it up, of the police chief of Raleigh, female, telling the world, I am not going to send my cops into these buildings where they are throwing, flash grenades and things of that nature, because I'm not going to endanger my police officers. What do you think happened that night?
Oh, yeah.
She sent a signal, said, I'm not going to endanger my cops.
Gosh.
And they unleashed
violence.
Holy hell that night, far worse than they had before. And then it took the stupid Governor Cooper, don't get me started on Cooper, it took him till 1:30 in the morning before he finally deployed National Guard troops. And guess where he put them? Just around the government buildings.
Shut up.
It's all documented.
Gosh.
See,
around the government buildings.
I wouldn't say you shouldn't have female police chiefs because there's some male police chiefs and sheriffs out there that we don't want to have.
That's fair.
I think the most important thing is we don't want incompetent people. Right. We don't want cowards that are supposedly going to
want DEI hires.
We don't want DEI hires like we saw in L.A. County with the fire chief out there. Or I'll be very honest. I mean, the sheriff for Dallas County, Marion Brown. We got a Trinidad problem right here in Dallas County. Hadn't seen Marion Brown talking about this. Don't see her working with ICE to get rid of these criminal illegal immigrants. So I think that what is starting to happen is that we just got a bunch of leftist, low-life ideologues that have infiltrated into law enforcement, and they're not doing what is right to protect, legal, law-abiding citizens.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. All right, we've got to take a quick break. I'm really excited about our next story here. We'll get into that when we come back. Our good friend of the program, Nancy Pelosi, appeared for an interview on CNN with Jake Tapper. And boy, she was not expecting this question from Jake Tapper about insider trading. Watch.
But let me just read what he said. I'm sorry that we had some sort of technical issue. Nancy Pelosi became rich.
Why do you have to read that? We're here to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. That's what I agreed to come to talk about.
But I wanted
what that means in the election.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response to that?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very much support the stop the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are, they are prosecuted and they go to jail. But because of the confidence it instills in the American people, don't worry about this. But I have no concern about the obvious investments that have been made over time I'm not into it. My husband is, but it isn't anything to do with anything insider. But the president has his own exposure, so he's always projecting. He's always projecting.
Oh,
And
it's definitely
let's not give him
President
any
Trump
more
who's
time on
insider
that,
trading,
please.
ma'am.
We're going forward here, and I'm very proud of my family. And while he might make fun of us, while somebody inspired by him breaks into our home and hits my husband in a deadly fashion, hits my husband over the head, and he thinks that's a riot, I'd rather not go into some of my other complaints about him right now.
Why do you have to read that, Jake? Jake, I agreed to come on to talk about Medicaid. Why do we have to talk about my insider trading? That's all Paul. You asked Paul about that. That's not me. That's not me, Jake. I need more vodka, please.
Like, I mean, listening to her try to not talk about it, but then also defend herself was so beautiful. You know you're in trouble when even CNN is going after you and you're a Democrat.
Well, you know, the last time I made fun of Pelosi, they tried to put me in prison. So I'm just going to turn it over to
Steve called her a bitch, and he got perp walked by the FBI.
Right.
So
It happens.
Oh, but Kathy Griffin can hold up a dismembered head, and she's okay.
See, I did it in a hotel room in Virginia the night of January 6th with a adult beverage in my hand, laughing with my best friend, doing a live stream, and I, you know, we're hearing that allegedly she had a laptop stolen.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I was there as a journalist covering the event, behaved myself perfectly the whole day.
Yeah.
Get in the hotel room, and I said, talking about the laptop issue on television, I said, the first thing I said was, can you imagine? I said, my biggest regret of the day is why didn't I steal a government computer? Can you imagine what I would have learned from a government computer? And then I said these words, and I said, but unfortunately, by the time I got to Pelosi's office area, it had been ransacked. So I got the heck out of Dodge. And I said, but it couldn't have happened to a more deserving bitch, is what I said.
Well,
Show me the lie.
Well, the thing is this: when you're explaining, you're losing. Yeah. And the bottom line is that Nancy Pelosi comes in. I saw the numbers. She was worth $167,000. Yep. Now she's worth over $400 million. Give me a break. Even Jasmine Crockett right here is now worth $8 to $9 million after what, a term and a half? Come on.
And you just said you went to Tennessee, but you do no math.
I do no math.
$175,000 salary a year.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
I'm a multimillionaire now. It's fine. It's from my $175,000 salary. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Paul, he's Billy Whistle's boyfriend.
That's right.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not like I expect that she's going to go down for this or anything like that, but it is funny watching her squirm. Yeah. Couldn't happen to a more deserving person. That's what I was going to say, because I don't want to get perp walked by the FBI. But we all know that Steve was right when he said it the first time. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.